Infernal Shrines next between these two teams. At this point, after looking at the first draft and looking at all of eStar's drafts, I have no clue what's going to happen in that. Do you guys have any recollection of what might occur?
If we go by the usual order, they've done their weird thing, now they're going to go back to standard double support.
True, that's a very good point.
The one thing that I want to say is that one of the main reasons why I thought that L5 would take the game is that I expected them to be very clean in the team fights.
Yes.
Have incredible coordination on their skills and just take the kills. And at the beginning, that actually happened. They had a beautiful kill against D.Va when self-destruct was used, and instead of immediately moving out, they went in for the kill and then simply dodged it. So that was extremely well done. But towards the middle game, all of a sudden, they lost all of that coordination. And that's where China just obliterated them, especially with the Zagara. In the end, they found those kills again, but it makes me a bit concerned for game number 2 that they struggled this hard to execute what is usually considered to be their strength.
That's where I'm at. I think eStar right now is adapting quicker in the matches and being much more mechanically better right now than L5, which is so weird to say. Because after the Greymane initial kill that happened, as you were mentioning on Dragonshire, immediately eStar responded, and we had D.Va running to the bottom right constantly, making sure Greymane was nowhere near her when she mech'd, and they just fought better.
Also, another thing is that right now we have Dignitas actually arriving at the studio, and they were looking at the draft earlier, and the first thing that happened was that Mina said, like, do you see that draft? What is eStar doing? They don't even have a tank. They changed their opinion pretty quickly too, because you have to think about the situation in the standings. Dignitas wants eStar to at least take a map so that there's absolutely no chance of this ending up in any kind of three-way tie.
Yeah. They literally said the words, "We are currently the biggest eStar fans right now."
Exactly.
Yes. All right, into the draft. We have Dahaka and Valaband.
L5, I like it.
Yeah, we're not wasting time. We jump right into it. The Valaband, Dahaka as the answer here for eStar Gaming, changing away from the false head, by the way.
And let's face it, I mean, Xingzi is just simply the best Vala in the world, hands down.
Yeah. So he's also, maybe not the best in the world, but he's an exceptionally good Greymane. If L5 wanted to put the vice onto Xingzi, taking Greymane and to the Malfurion right now would be pretty devastating, or Greymane and some other hero like a Nubarak.
I would agree with that. We have, of course, already seen that we have several heroes that Xingzi can play. He also played Genji, but Greymane is taken away, and I think that's really the right choice. It caters towards the map. You take something away from Xingzi. You're not going to be able to ban him out and to choke him out of heroes that he excels at.
His pool has widened so much since HGC China on the last tournament he was at.
Exactly, but you still have a great pick for yourself. You take a big tool away from him. You have now the Malfurion also in there, still the second best healer that we have in the game. Good roots, zoning tools around the shrines, you get your Twilight Dream in. So overall, I think the double pick for L5 was great. Only thing they could have adapted to, maybe an Nubarak.
But that does leave Genji up now with an Uther floating on the board and potentially a Tyrael as well, which to me gets my heart beating a little fast.
Don't get me wrong, I love the Genji, especially when you can combine him with the Uther and the Divine Shield. I still think that when we're looking at Malfurion, you have counter tools against that. Yeah. And when L5 picked Greymane and Malfurion, they knew that Genji would appear.
This has to be a Tyrael ban.
That's
I mean,
fair.
The double Genji is fair. Yeah.
Double Tyrael, double Illidan is fair. That's how you end games.
Double anything.
Yeah.
Uther in there. We had that. We had a couple of teams actually that ran in the past double Uthers for endless heals and stuns.
Exactly. I mean, we seem to keep forgetting that at some point X is going to give it to us, and the Illidan is always a threat.
Can that joke die yet? Oh my god! I've been listening to it since Eastern Clash with Jayhow, and every time I sit down next to him off of a broadcast, he looks at me and says, "Hey, eStar's playing today. X is going to give it to them." And I'm like, Jayhow, it's not even that funny.
You know that pain that you feel right now?
Yeah, is that when I
feel that pain every single time you start talking about either Murky or Gaslow.
At least I have some variety, though. It's not the same joke over
You
and
don't.
over.
It's either Murky or Gaslow.
You would hate to cast China, dude.
All right, you're right. That equalizes everything.
Before.
You did, but the thing is, Murky's actually played quite commonly on Dragonshire as well. There's a chance it could have been in the last game as well.
Yeah, I know, but it comes out into some picks, and then he's not going to talk about
and then I smile at Calidor, and he knows what's coming. Oh, that's the best.
He just turns around and doesn't even say anything, he just looks at me, I'm like, oh god.
Well, back to the game. After's been banned out, and now a Nubarak. You called the Nubarak earlier. Tyrael's still on the board, but is there a chance here that eStar, even if Tyrael is still up, they don't run with it. Maybe they grab a bruiser and just go pure non-tankless.
That would be a terrible mistake, surely, looking at the other side and considering that was the Large Hadron Collider comp from a few days ago, where everything was smashing into each other.
Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Hunt, Judgment, Genji just dashing around, so...
Yeah.
The only thing that you need after that is a Muradin and going Haymaker.
That would continue to smash things about.
No, I mean, at this point, I would expect L5 to really take the Tyrael here. It works well for them.
Ragnaros and Diablo.
All right,
well,
so
their Shrine Clear is pretty good now.
I didn't really expect the Ragnaros, considering that we've mentioned several times how we all think he's not that great.
They've stuck with it.
2 wins.
They've been one of the teams that has stuck with it.
I think it's one of the Battlegrounds where it works.
Yeah, also, in this case, first of all, the Battleground, as you said.
Yeah. And
also, I think... I haven't seen it with a combo with Diablo yet, I have to say, but if you actually get a really good stun with Diablo around the Shrine in Ragnaros, what do Koreans excel at? Coordination. So you get the stun in, you drop the Sulfura Smash, and you can really just burst the target away within seconds, especially if you have a Grey main that jumps in and considers the final blow.
So it's kind of like how Diablo Tyrande used to be, except instead of an arrow falling from the sky, it's a giant fiery hammer. I like it.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty lethal.
So, it's
There's no
not
kill like overkill.
unreasonable to just go for Diva Zarya again.
I was thinking...
I still want Tyrael. Absolutely Tyrael.
And Tychus. Okay.
I would have been shocked. I expected Tyrael for L5, but after L5 decided to go down a different path with the Diablo and the Ragnar comp, I would have been beyond shocked if that Tyrael would not appear on the side of eStar.
Yeah. What's last for L5?
It's Alarak, that's what I'm going to guess. I didn't see it on the screen yet.
There you go.
Alarak, okay, in the mix. I think Alarak has...
That doesn't count. Continue.
I actually think Alarak has some strength against Genji. If you ever land that silence, he just has a really hard time. But the trick is landing that silence. But with Diablo being here, you have the lockdown to actually be that effective and follow up the combo. But it does come down to coordination. But to Caldor's point, coordination here. They are the Koreans, and they dominate when it comes to mechanics.
Where is there all of a sudden Tyrande in?
Yeah, there's a Tyrande in here.
Where did that Tyrande come from?
I don't know, somebody was listening to my spiel about Diablo
got distracted.
The double support, the Uther Tyrande.
Don't be silly. We're not seeing Tyrande.
Who was that? That was Tyrael, yeah. They are right next to each other, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh well.
So that should be a Tyrael.
Huh.
That should be in the mix in there.
Yeah.
So dive potential is very possible here. You go in for the hard engage, you have Tyrael for there, certification. It's pretty darn good. And the best part is you got your boy Odin sitting in the back there and just sieging away constantly. Buildings, if a Punisher actually goes down here for eStar, are going to fall. Even with that Ragnar's Molten Core, you can burn that pretty quickly.
Predictions, Setcha, starting with you.
They were a centimeter away from taking it last time, and their comp is still crazy scary. I'm going with eStar.
Okay.
I think this time they're going to get that final inch they need, so it's going to be eStar.
You're out of measurements. You're out of measurements.
Centimeter, right?
No, I meant inch.
They're going to get the final centimeter and secure the victory.
Why did you bite your lips when you did that?
I don't know, man. I just felt like go with it. Go get the camera off me. Now it's awkward. What do I do with my hands?
The camera.
That was weird.
Can you lick your lips for a second?
No, I'm done, dude. I'm done. Let's go to the game. Please lead it. Go, you're the host.
Delay it as long as possible.
Can we get a close-up shot of Trixler?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. All right, let's see what your chat thinks. As 59% to eStar. I'm really glad I noticed that. But anyway, we're going into game number 2 now, as we send you over to Gilly and Dread. And I think Dread's dead, guys. Dread's dead.
In what world is your first instinct to bite your lip when referring to centimeters? Can you imagine if they gave him anything non-metric? The guy would go off the charts.
Oh, Trixler keeping things
PG.
something. Yeah, here for game number 2. Let's get into it.
Oh,
Woo,
baby.
eStar versus L5. L5 winning by a centimeter in the last game. Here they are in the blue for game number 2. SCSC playing Greymane, Swoy playing Malfurion, Ragnaros played by Nacho Jin, Diablo played by Noblesse, and Jungha playing Alarak.
And in the red, I'm sorry, I'm still a bit bubbly here, eStar Gaming. SW has found himself on Uther, Tiger playing the Genji, Savage there on Illidan, Lucian playing Tyrael, and Jing Chen playing Tychus.
Dread, what do you think of the drafts?
I love eStar. It meets all the things of excitement. You know, it doesn't meet the map at all, right? They ignored the shrine. They don't care. But when eStar puts up their best gaming, when they look the most threatening, it's with extreme aggression, and every ounce of that comp screams that to me.
Yeah, that is true. They did get the Tychus for their shrine just a little bit. Man,
John,
they are ready for action.
I told
25
you.
seconds in, and
Aggro.
2 kills.
Here we go. Starting at level 1, that is a triple kill.
How did they just do this?
They doesn't afraid of anything. They ask you, are you in fact
You
anywhere?
doesn't that sentence. You want to try again?
Nah, man.
All right. Continue. Not afraid of anything?
No, yeah, killed it. Look at it. I mean, starting with Jungha a bit too far out. Noblesse legitimately, again, with being on a Diablo, you have very little peel in those circumstances. Great job with the body blocks coming out from eStar here.
Sorry. Okay. So, eStar back at it now, ahead in experience thanks to that triple kill before 1 minute into the game. But L5, they have Jungha back on Alarak.
That route was legitimately just a fraction of a second away from at least allowing a reasonable trade on the side of L5. Maybe get some pressure. But I talked about it in the last game. I've talked about it really since the first performance I feel like we've seen out of L5. The one thing I'm afraid of is mentality. And starting a game off at 25 seconds in, 3 kills down, definitely does not feel as good, man.
It does not, but again, they know that at least they always have the potential to come back in a game. After the last one, they just started things off a little scary, but the most important thing is they have everyone up and ready for this shrine. They have the shrine clear heroes with Greymane. They can bring down Ragnaros too. And Alarak is so good at being able to defend around this and possibly get themselves some kills.
And so eStar, knowing that they don't have necessarily superior shrine control, are just all 5-manning committing to this as soon as possible, or excuse me, not 5-manning, but committing to it as soon as possible to ensure they get those skeletal defender advantage. Because this late rotation out of L5, there's an actual chance eStar just moves in as a 5-man, hyper-aggressive, get 1 to 2 picks and get the rest of these 13. When normally, we would look at these drafts and say L5 wins every shrine as long as there aren't picks.
Yeah, it was so late to get here now that L5 is faced with a difficult option, but I'm thinking that they should make sure they leave their Molten Core for defense, but all of that changes if they lose Ragnaros. At least they got a counter kill though, so it's still 4 for 4.
They did get a counter kill, but this is actually a really cool thing to be able to point out here is the fact, oh, they're waiting for the pick. I was going to say, if they rush this immediately on the side of eStar, the one defender, the Molten Core, that Punisher suddenly gains a bit more value here into the early game. But thinking about it again, this is significantly more beneficial for the squad. They start to get the gang.
Hammer of Justice. There's no getting out of this one. eStar finding everybody in lane and taking them out.
L5 seems to be crumbling one piece at a time. And eStar Gaming, I feel like when they hit 10s, that will be the breaking point. The offense that they've managed to show so far, 5-1 when it comes to those kills. And we got to remember, they have weak map objective presence, but they are so far ahead onto those. L5 can't start the objective because, I mean, one Tyrael Q, he'll be like, thank you for your Punisher and your time. And with this macro pressure they're going to have, it also is complementing, again, their lack of wave clear. Whenever you look at your comp and say, we're a teamfight comp, what do? You always say, my mercenaries need to be extremely effective.
Man, I love what eStar is doing here, except that they lost their Genji. That is the one breaking point. The nice thing for L5 is they're able to get a kill close enough to get them to level 7. But still, all of the mercenary camps that L5 had were cleaned up, the one in top. Now somebody can push along with the camps up in the top. And still, eStar are delaying this shrine.
eStar waiting probably until the 10 mark.
Yep.
Every time we've seen Illidan Tyrael compositions, we always go, but what about the sanctification? Noblesse now coming back to try and draw a little bit of aggro. They end up getting their own camp, and that's enough for eStar to say, now is the time. We aren't even going to wait at the 10. We feel like this is the power spike. We at least need this 7 mark. I also want to note that Tyrael actually adjusting his level 7 to complement the 5-man death ball that they actually have. So going with the zealotry to be, I always say that wrong actually, to ensure that he has multiple shields, longer duration, and making sure it's got a shorter cooldown for everybody on the team. Another death here on to Ragnaros, staggered once more. eStar, I mean, they're making plays, but L5's giving them everything.
eStar's aggressive rotations are so cool to watch though, and that centers on SW. He always runs straight up to the gate. He knows that someone's going to be chasing chasing the target back into his waiting arms, or really his hammer, to hit them with Hammer of Justice. And by then, they have done so much damage that that's just what is needed to confirm the kill for the team. eStar with a level lead so far in game number 2 of this best of 2, hoping they can tie things up and earn themselves another point in the group stage.
And we have to remember again, yes, eStar in the entire last game and this one controlled the early game, but L5 was the one who did come back in game number 1, so don't count them out. These guys are amazing. We saw one risky move on the side of eStar Gaming, they punished it, and then flat won, did everything they needed to do. So eStar now maybe needs to take a breath. They're finding themselves identical circumstances. Look at what you did wrong in the last game and make sure that is not even an option here on Infernal Shrines.
Jungha's picked Applied Force, which is a sadism reduction, but will increase the range of telekinesis and increase the push amount. So he's hoping that he can pull someone back farther or just be able to catch someone a little bit easier with his combos. And he still is stacking his Extended Lightning and Chaos Rains. Genji's done with his quest, though. That is always nice. He's halfway to it. It just hits, so he's got the increased damage on his Shuriken.
We're yet to see what we find for Illidan and his heroic choice. I'm guessing it's going to be the hunt this game to ensure that they keep the macro pressure outward, but Metamorphosis does have an argument into the insane AoE-CC. Metamorphosis having the Diablo APOC, it's very easy to dodge APOC. You know, if you somehow get locked down, you get a minute to breathe, drop it, and you can dodge that spell with meta.
Does the level 1 talent make you lean either way toward that? The fact that he got Battered Assault over Immolation and the ability to clear?
It's usually what I feel. I guess not. He's going to go meta. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong there, but a lot of the times when I see the Immolation or see Battered Assault that I want to make sure not only do I end up hitting one target, then I end up Wing through 2, get the burst, get the kill, and then I look for friend or foe out in most of those circumstances here. But obviously they're going to disagree going with the meta. I think it's a safe choice here for eStar Gaming because now they have Sanctification appeal. They've got the Divine Shield appeal. They have a little bit of everything, and now L5 needs to make something happen in this Shrine phase.
This is a really good point for eStar to fight because they have their heroic abilities. They have used Divine Shield though, but once they get to 13, Noblesse becomes a different beast. Sanctification!
That was the most beautiful. eStar Gaming just outplayed the hell out of L5. Lucian is a legend. Nacho Jin getting trapped into the corner. SCSC getting tracked down 3-4-0 because Tyrael, that was legitimately the best bait ever. Tyrael, oh my gosh, Diablo goes in.
Yeah.
El Druins is already on the ground.
Yes.
Before suplex hits, he reactivates, and that is when Illidan is already on the backline, drops the Sanct, and that is why eStar Gaming knows how to play so beautifully with this aggression.
Oh, I'm hoping we can see that again, but for now we're seeing the Punisher pushing on in the bottom lane against the fort. But yeah, the synergy between the Sanctification and the meta.
And all the time, we often talk about Tyrael when he's good and when he's bad, and it all comes down to having those melees and the mobility. But the level 4 sets up for huge plays like that. It's so forgiving when you take Heroic Reforging on your initiations. You hit 1Q, you wait it out, can my Illidan go? That was a convenient moment because it was a counter initiation, even on top of it. Where does L5 come back? Again, that looked pretty at the beginning and quickly turned. They need to find something somewhere on this map, and I feel like a lot of it's going to have to do with the Ragnaros pick, something we have been talking about all week long.
Yeah, they can hope that maybe they can catch somebody out. They have their Sulfurious Smash, and they can slow things down for eStar. Divine Shield even nullifies Jungha's ability to catch someone with a combo. They're at least trying to get a kill on Lucian. Roots do connect.
He's silenced. Sanctification up in 4 seconds. My goodness, as we see Guardian of the Ancient King show why it's one of the most contested, controversial even talents in the entire game. That Sulfurious Smash dead center. He didn't even
did nothing.
It was just a nice little tickle.
eStar in full control of this game, and it's a different battleground than the last one. It's not Dragonshire where you can hope to get to the late game. You have plenty of chances to come back, albeit the comeback came at nearly losing their core, but L5 were still able to do it. In this instance,
Jing Chen obviously was afraid of Diablo getting the hard engage there, so that's a cooldown baited out now for L5. Another thing to consider is that we do see laser. You know, that is, originally when Tychus brought to the meta, he dropped the laser. When Odin got buffed, we saw almost Odin all over the world, especially in Shrines, because those Punishers are weak. Odin's such a good siege tool, which I expected out of eStar in this comp specifically. it's interesting because it moves aggressive and it sieges up and enables that hard initiation that eStar desires. But the laser is leaning towards, we're concerned about the Shrine, which it felt like eStar was ignoring, almost was going to ignore, at least for most of the game. But they have been so successful. He doesn't care. He's going to move into the laser.
Yeah, maybe that was the change. It's just the fact that they were already winning a lot once they had their heroic abilities and the last Shrine. And we've got another Shrine too. Once again, a change up for Jungha and his build, getting Pure Malice. So sort of expecting that his teammates might fall to the aggression of eStar. And speaking of eStar's aggression,
Swoi is in a bad spot. Nice engage there from Tiger, but do you see the minute? As I was talking about, it's got to be the Ragnaros. They get around the fort. Everybody on the side of L5 posturing. Is this the Molten Core moment to get the turn? And eStar patiently realizes the circumstances, walks away from it, and now focuses on what they can get. And that is going to be the 16 talent tier, another Punisher, and maybe even a keep wall. I mean, L5 is just grasping at anything and everything. And this is an answer, but again, Band-Aid to a much, much more severe wound.
it was crucial that eStar left because L5, they are known for their engages with Molten Core. They are so good at them and being able to keep members inside of the Molten Core once they start to get it. Holy Ground there. Twilight Dream hits a lot. Molten Core follow-up. Roots connect. They're still going to be within damage range.
The Tyrael makes it out, though, and Jungha does not. There goes Dragon Blade with the Divine Storm. It actually gets the cleanse on to the Sulfurous Smash. APOC goes down. Nice dodge coming out from Tiger. Does he get a reset? There is one. There is two. Now he goes on to Swoi for the third, but Tiger, with no reflect left, he is going to have to back out. Beautiful Holy Ground body blocking, and Nacho Jin, good night, my sweet prince. No!
He's doing what he can. He's doing a pretty good job, but in the end, Nacho Jin does go down with a great Holy Ground from Lucian. Meanwhile, in top lane, Illidan has been hanging out. Savage very nearly completing the Shrine.
I just want to say why the rest of the world should be absolutely terrified about eStar. Yes, this is a bit of a weaker form, maybe, of L5 in this tournament. That is very much apparent. But in this series, they have won so many 5 versus 4s.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually disgusting. That in the Dragonshire game, 3 of them back to back to back. And then they end up throwing onto the court. This game, another circumstance where they're winning the fight and they're getting the objective while they're just everywhere.
And they were willing to do that without the hunt. They did that with meta, fully understanding that it was a 4v5. What about without Zagara? That was Lucian, technically their main warrior player.
Fights 4 versus 5.
They were willing to do that. eStar,
no fear.
So good at team fighting. Just constantly looking for brawls to show you that they are the better team.
And right now, walking up to the base of L5, they're pretty much saying just that. Dragon Laser now off cooldown. Sanctification will return in 12 seconds. And the Punisher, as we said, moving up through top. Conveniently, though, the biggest positive is that L5 will have Apocalypse in 2 seconds. They need to be value here. They've got to be patient, and they cannot get picked.
This is the moment where L5 could start the comeback. It was before when they were starting to lose out on the base. Ragnaros has already gone. Sanctification and the Dragon Blade.
APOC has to be huge. It ends up landing onto 3. Tiger goes in. Now that is 1 reset. I think eStar Gaming has got this. They have got the rebuttal, but do they throw on the core once more? There's only 35% on that Punisher.
eStar Gaming have a 3-level lead. They take out Diablo. SCSC gets taken out with the grenade from Xingxi, but Xingxi's taking the core or the fort damage. He ends up losing to the keep.
He's losing to the keep, and meanwhile, look at Savage. He makes it over the wall. They need Illidan. He is their core killer. If they're going to end the game, he has to stay alive. SW now gets him the heal. He dives right on in. The Punisher actually conveniently saving Tiger. The shielding looks like it's going down.
Oh my gosh, that Holy Ground has kept Ragnaros from being able to come and help out the defense. Now we're at 60%. Sulfurous Smash goes down. SW wants to die. He can give more heals.
Not like this. It looks like eStar, this time they've done the math. They have it calculated, and they've done it. That is eStar Gaming fighting back with so much aggression.
eStar tie up the series 1-1 with L5. Constantly taking 4v5 fights and often winning them flat out. Awesome play from eStar here. Not only in this series, at the Mid-Season Brawl in general.
One thing I love about teams that are willing to take 4 versus 5s is it hits a bluff card that nobody else, if you don't play that style, you flat out can never use. And it is legitimately impossible. It's a 50-50 every single time, because if they force the 4 versus 5 and you don't see number 5, if you don't see the skeletal defenders ticking up, you're wondering, is he flanking me? Or is this real, right? Every time, they can get up in your face and just say, fight me. And you're like, is this a good or a bad idea? As long as no objective is being indicated. And I would love to see eStar focusing on abusing that, because right now, every team in this tournament has to be terrified of them.
And I know I am. eStar looking really good here, but it was a 1-1. Let's see what our panel had to think of that last explosive game.
Just no words. Looking at how they were able to execute that, and the craziness, the atmosphere in this room right now is absolutely electrifying. Listening to how eStar are communicating with one another and being able to push L5 to the absolute brink.
It's disgusting how good they are.
Yes.
It's really insane. I mean, seriously,
No,
it's frightening.
I agree with you. It's absolutely terrifying. This team, we are all in agreement that it only was a inch, centimeter, whatever you want to call it, difference between being a 1-1 and a 2-0 in favor of eStar.
I mean, let's talk about it. The positioning, the one that Dread was freaking out about, was the moment that I actually wanted to show you guys at home. Let's go ahead and check it out here. This is on the bottom shrine, currently while they're on the second phase of the Punisher, if I remember correctly. Now, watch this positioning. Let's go ahead and pause real quick, please. So let's go ahead and check it out here. Look at all of the members that could be possibly grabbed. They are in positions that if Diablo goes in, he does not put them against a wall, he's out of position, and they can concave in. There are 3 members that are currently on this team, Genji, Illidan, and Tyrael, that can converge at any point if they need to. The only one that is actually grabbable right now, and it's right here, H. He is the only one that is actually grabbable that Diablo could go in for and maybe slam against the wall. But look right here. I'm going to go ahead and remove everything. There's a Eldruin currently sitting right there. The moment Noblesse goes in for the engage, look at him. He slams his Q, jumps over, and this allows everyone else from eStar to come in and fight on this big area. They don't care about Diablo anymore. He's used what combo he would probably pull out, and he's not much of a threat for a few more seconds until those come up. X goes in, starts getting the damage in, and from there it was lights out. And it all came down to the team understanding what Diablo was as a threat.
Right.
He's an engager that's going to come in, start a combo, and do Apocalypse. If they dodge that, they can go in for the fight. And H just played so well there, was able to dodge on through and set his team up.
It's an amazing series overall as this replay wraps things up. We are joined at the analysis desk by X, or Savage here, alongside. So congratulations on that 1-1 overall. But I have to ask, the draft in game number 1 was crazy. It felt like you probably should have had a 2-0. How did you feel coming into the series against L5? And how did you anticipate it going initially?
那现在你们打完了 L5， 那你们打得很精彩，很接近，然后打了一个1-1。那看到你们第一局的时候，很讲班选都比较有趣。可是你们打 L5之前的感受是如何？还有什么目标的呢？
第一局的 BP 的话，就我们训练赛就是也有用过，就然后感觉合适的话就拿出来用。当然训练赛只打过1局，然后前期也是的也是。目标的话还是冠军，然后我们现在也就实力也比较可以得到自己的一些认可了吧，然后就很有机会，然后还有什么？
Okay, so for the first game, our drafts was indeed a little bit interesting, and we actually practiced it once before, and we thought we would pull it out if we thought that the suitable time has arrived, and so we did it. And I felt like we could actually have won that game as well.
Yeah.
So, and as for our expectations, we of course were aiming for a champion title in this entire tournament. So I feel like we have found our stride as a team right now, and with this momentum, I believe we have a chance.
What inspires you guys to defy convention? You are literally coming in, changing drafts day in and day out, and getting people at home super excited to watch you.
他说：“大家都觉得你们打的方式很精彩，那你们是从哪里有这个主意的呢？”
坐在就是下面，然后准备打比赛的时候，然后就变成这样，就我也不知道为什么就变成这样。 发生的很突 效果很好。
I'm not really sure what changed and what made us so, interesting with our play styles and drafts. It's just when we are watching our opponents play, and then discussions get going, and then it just happens. So we don't control it, and then the effect that comes with our drafts is pretty good. So it's unexpected.
One last question before I let you go. When do we get Gazlo in the mix-in?
你们有没有打算选这个英雄 Gaz？
所有英雄我们如果有机会的话都会去选。
We have a possibility of picking any hero in the pool.
All right. And then the final question I want to ask then is, if you were to go up against L5 going into the bracket stage, would it be a different result? Would you be able to defeat them if you go into the bracket against them?
那过后，如果很像胜者组还是什么决赛，又在面对 L5，你觉得你们能打赢他们吗？
肯定会加油打的，然后目标也是赢他们，机会很大。
We will definitely put in our best, and I think we have a pretty good chance of beating them.
All right, well, thank you very much, X, as we do check out the brackets now to see exactly what's gone down so far here with the group stage moving on. We do have eStar Game.